Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Sunday. It's Monday for some of you that are joining me from Australia. Happy Monday to my Australia folks and my mods that are in the room. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight, including the fact that I've learned how to master the smoky eye. Having a lot of fun learning how to play, let's just say. All right, you guys, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the news, on Twitter, on IG, on YouTube, all about Jaclyn Hill's products, right? Her lipsticks are out of control. They are melting. They have what appears to be granulations in them, potentially mold. They are falling apart. They have horrible packaging. I just had to sneak that in there. They have issues with little balls being stuck in them. They have fibers on them. There's lots going on here, and there's a lot of quality issues, which for those people that follow Jaclyn, I guess this is just to be expected. I have only read about her because I refuse to actually follow her, but I have noticed that nearly all of her product launches go off horribly. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff, and we're also going to talk about some not so fun sides about when you're choosing to purchase products from these people. Some of the things you need to think about: where the products are made, how the products are sourced, what is in the products, whether or not they're made ethically, whether they're really cruelty free. And we're going to talk about cruelty beyond just animals, because cruelty extends to so many things other than animals, and there's a lot of very cruel aspects of the makeup world. And what we can do as consumers to be more proactive and active in stopping these sort of practices, and what we can do to demand brands do, and how we can help motivate change for this. And we're going to learn today about how a lot of this has been spurred on by this obsessive need for people to have natural sources for everything in their makeup, which isn't really necessary. A lot of the synthetics that had been used for years and years and years were totally fine, nothing wrong with them at all. But this obsessive need and this quackery around natural has really spurned and spawned this need to source things like cocoa, mica, and other things like vanilla that come from places that involve child labor, sweatshops, people that aren't paid very much, really dangerous mining. So we need to talk about all of these things. Moldy products and granulation in makeup is just the tip of the iceberg when we start to looking into the makeup industry. And really, as a whole, what we need to start thinking about is what we're going to do to hold these people accountable. Because you can tweet and you can complain and you can put your stuff on Instagram, but none of that does anything. You can never hold an influencer or a company responsible by simply complaining to the company. If you have a problem with the product, I'm going to show you what you need to do, and we're going to go through all of that in the stream. So buckle up. It's going to be a doozy. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Ring the bell so you know when I go live. And as always, come follow me on Twitter at WAO Crystal Ball. All right, you guys. So all of this is started from some nasty lipstick, I guess. Maybe, sort of. I mean, that's what started it this week, right? Was like the gross, nasty lipstick that we're dealing with Kate, with Oh, I deleted them. I gotta add them now. Haha. I'm gonna just show you a nasty picture and we can, um, so this was it. This has kind of been the deal. Like this is what spurred on and made me motivated to learn some stuff about makeup this week. And I hope if you understand anything about this channel is it's not just about tea, it's not just about gossip, but I'm hoping that every single time you tune in and you come and spend an hour with me, that we also learn something along the way, because I want to use my platform as a way to educate and help inspire people to know better and do better when it comes to so many different things. And that doesn't just include pseudoscience. There's a lot of things in life that we need to know more about, that we don't know enough about, and that a lot of us are complicit about. And we can only do that by getting educated. So I'm going to try to do this as, I don't know, without as many like eye stabbings and head face palms and all of that good stuff for you, okay? So it all started this week with Jaclyn, but Jaclyn's issues with lipstick is not the first influencer to have issues with their products. She might be the most recent, but by far not the only. In fact, if we go through and you look through Google and you were to say Google moldy makeup or problems with makeup or side effects from makeup, you will see things from multiple influencers with the different launches that they put out. I'm going to show you a couple things and you can just, we can talk about it and then we'll kind of go from there. But most notably, someone that is very forward and out front and all over the place and in your face, Mr. Jeffree Star, he had a problem with, oops, hold on. Mold, straight mold in his lipstick velours. And these are, there are so many of these. Let's see here. Look at that nice little mold. Oh, look, that's a whole clump of mold. Oh, look, more mold. Lots of mold. Oh, look, it's bubbling. Isn't that lovely? And look at that. There's a freaking hair in his setting powder. That's gross. Now, when people brought this up to Jeffree, how did he respond? Instead of actually taking these concerns seriously and actually like being empathetic and understanding about what was going on, he yelled at customers. He told people they were lying. He was rude to them. He intimidated them. He like asked people to take them down. The people with the hair, he was awful to that person. And in the real world, if you were to go to say like Estee Lauder and do this, if you were to like buy from Estee Lauder and then return it at Target, do you think the person at Target who is helping you in customer service would be like, you're lying, you're horrible, I can't believe you would do this? Well, that's what Jaclyn did when people started complaining about her lipsticks, and that's what Jeffree does anytime anyone complains about a quality product with his products. If you're going to work in the world of business, part of that means is if you're going to put a product out, you need to be able to stand by your products. Unfortunately, many of these companies, specifically those by influencers, do not allow returns or have sold as is, or if they do allow returns, make it extremely difficult for you to return the products. And this isn't by mistake. This is a way for them to earn money without having to stand up for the quality of their product, and they can just laugh away to the bank with their shady things. And they can cover their asses because it all is on their websites telling you no returns or only, you can return only if damaged or whatever. Like, you're stuck with products a lot of the time if this is what happens. Many of these companies don't want it back. Now, they might say they're going to get it back. Yeah, it's really nasty. So nasty. All right, so that's moldy Jeffree. Then we also have issues with, That was Jaclyn. Ugh, did I not put them on here? Wait. Hold on a second. Emily Noel's palette through Makeup Revolution. I think the one that got trashed, one of the ones that got trashed by Tati, didn't just have problems with people, didn't have problems with just people not liking them. It also had mold. And this was one of the two palettes. I can't remember which one this was. It was, I think, of the smaller of the two palettes that ended up getting mold. And I found multiple photos on Google and through social media of Emily Noel's palettes developing mold. Now, here's the thing, you guys, is a lot of these companies, the trendy thing to do right now is to have makeup without preservatives. And that's not okay, you guys. If you're going to have properties, especially if they have water in them, you have to have a preservative in them so that they do not get moldy. But it's so trendy right now to be like, preservative free, no parabens. Which, by the way, they don't really know yet if parabens are bad. They're still studying them. They don't really know a whole lot, but the makeup industry wants you to believe that parabens are really, 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 really bad. It's very marketing, but the FDA has said, we don't really know. At this point, we haven't found anything harmful about them. Isn't that funny? But in this effort to make everything, natural, they get rid of preservatives. They get rid of the chemicals. They get rid of the words they don't understand, which, by the way, every single thing that you buy has a chemical name. Gold has an actual chemical property name. Silver has a chemical property name, and it's not silver. Here's the thing, you guys. Every single thing in our lives is chemicals. But there's this whole wooey side of makeup that is pushing this idea that everything needs to be cruelty-free. It has to have no chemicals, and it needs to be sourced from natural products. The problem is that synthetics kept us from having to go into mines to make glitter. It kept us from having to use child labor in China, and it kept us from getting mold in our products. So instead of thinking about cruelty-free, how about you think about buying a product that lasts, that won't get moldy, and that doesn't involve children dying in mines, okay? We're going to get to how that happens. And sadly, I even am wearing makeup, and you're going to find it hard-pressed in this day and age to find any makeup that does not contain mica. And that's a huge issue. And it's not as easy as getting rid of the mica altogether, because India and their communities, they depend on mining. So it isn't about getting rid of mica, it's about getting India and these companies to get better about ensuring that no children are involved in the mining, to make sure that the mines are safe, and to ensure that the miners are paid a living wage. We'll get there though. So Emily isn't the only one that's had problems either. Then there's Kylie. Now, I got kind of annoyed when I started looking into Kylie, because not only does Kylie have issues with her Spats Laboratories being accused of being a sweatshop, and someone was in my comments yesterday and they said, well, Spats Lab is not. They are not a sweatshop, because I delivered food to them and it was fine. Unfortunately, what you see when you go somewhere isn't exactly the reality. And I was actually on some of the things that I like to do when I look at whether or not a company, if allegations match, is I like to check out what former employees like to say about these types of things. And there's a couple amazing websites where you can actually read reviews from former employees that worked at companies. And sometimes you'll get one critical review and you'll have to be like, oh, is it just a disgruntled employee? You kind of have to weigh the pros and cons. But when you start seeing a pattern and it's like, and they're all saying the same thing, then you have to start to say, is this true? And if there's so many people saying it, Usually it means it's true. And if you don't believe that sweatshops don't exist, that's not true because Los Angeles is full of them, even though they're not technically legal. All right. So Kylie has done many different things throughout the way. This is not necessarily related to her products, but she did a fundraiser for children with cleft palates, which is very like close to my heart because my son has a disorder that goes down the midline, and common, one of the very common defects of his specific disease is that kids can have a cleft lip, a cleft palate. They can have one big incisor or one big tooth instead of two front teeth. And so I have families that I know that have had, because of my son's disorder, that have had to have lots of surgeries for cleft palates and lips because it can affect your breathing, it can affect how you eat. It's for the people that have them, it is extremely difficult if they don't get these fixed. And they were doing a fundraiser. Instead of being compassionate, Kylie compared children with cleft lips to monsters. And she said, from holiday screams into children's dreams. That's not okay. Factory workers report sweatshop conditions. In 2016, soon after they opened, Indeed, they aired their grievances on working conditions. On the Indeed website, they aired their grieving conditions. And we're going to go through all of those because I have tons of them that we're going to talk about. She talks about using her housekeeper to swatch her products. There have been ants found in packages, swarms of them, in boxes of makeup that are ordered from the company. That's gross. Her eyeshadow had reports of headaches. 15 people reported to the Better Business Bureau that they were having headaches from chemical and glue smells that are in her makeup. So it's not just Jaclyn that has issues. It's, Miss Self-Made Billionaire, which is such a crock of shit. She comes from money. Her parents are loaded out of belief. Her mother, Caitlin, is a Olympic decathlon gold medalist and who makes so much money. Mother Chris. I mean, these people are so wealthy beyond belief. This whole idea that Kylie is self-made is ridiculous. Not to mention, Kylie Cosmetics has been sued at least 2 different times for copyright infringement. One by L'Oreal because when L'Oreal, they used to use the lab to formulate their products, and then the lab decided, hey, we're going to use what we use for L'Oreal and give it to Kylie. That's not shady. She's also been accused of stealing people's names of their makeup that are copyrighted. So a lot of the stuff where she's making a lot of money, she's making it on the backs of people that she's exploiting. So think about those things when you think of applauding her for being a billionaire. Kylie is cheating people out of money with bad products, sweatshops, all that good stuff. Packages arrive at houses without any products. So since there was someone in my comments that did not believe me that she had a sweatshop, I just wanted to let's get the glasses on and let's talk about some of these conditions, because people always, when they come to my channel, it's like, if I bring something up, it's like people have to be like, they'll watch the entire stream and then they have to be critical about one tiny thing within that stream, and they got to be snarky and they got to be a jerk about it, right? And be like, excuse me, it is not a sweatshop. Really, that's what you got from that whole hour? That was the whole hour. That's what you got. Are you kidding me? Because yesterday we talked a whole lot more than just Kylie's sweatshops. But tonight we're going to talk about the sweatshop since you brought it up. And if you know who I'm talking to, hi. I'm not mad at you, but you made me motivated to prove you wrong. All right, because I always search for the truth. So are you wondering about what it's like to work there? You get paid minimum wage. They have you work 50 hours a week over the holiday season just to get you laid off or get 4 hours a day when it's not seasonal. They don't really care. Terrible management. The most enjoyable part of my day was leaving work. They would talk about Kylie Jenner in a bad manner. Even with this person who gave like a positive sort of, it started like a way to say it was positive. She talks about like getting yelled at by supervisors. They're yelling and rushing and getting angry if you don't paste on a pickup. You're not able to talk to anyone. You cannot say a word unless it's one of the employees that the supervisor is lead favored for, and you get in trouble if you talk. Can you imagine having to work at a place and that you can't even talk, and then you can't even complain, because then if you do complain, you might lose your job? This was like the one when I just wanted to show you, like, okay, one person liked working there. Now, this person said the work is fairly easy once you get the hang of it, but it's really hot because they don't have enough air conditioning, and you need to have a lot of water if you're going to stay hydrated. They mass hire and they start letting people go when the season's over. It's a sweatshop. Made you stay when you'd been working for a long time, no air conditioning, lunchroom was outside, and when you had an emergency, they didn't notify you until an hour later. You have to learn how to work independently and fast. It needs workers on their management team. It lacks leadership. Also needs to provide employees the right equipment in order to move proficiently within their jobs. In addition, I feel like everyone gets recognition for their hard work. Not a good place to work if you're trying to grow within the company. It's a fast-paced environment, and you have to stand for a very long period of time, and breaks are very short. That's not okay. Oh, this person said it's racist. I worked there for 2 years and I didn't get any benefits from the supervisors. The ladders were racist and two-faced, and this is the kind of job is for people who don't have education because they're just talking about each other and making fun of other people. This is factory work. This person says it's a sweatshop. The pay is very minimum for the amount of work that is required. You have no time to interact with employees since you work independently all the time, and they don't care about employees. I wouldn't recommend anyone working there. Poor ownership and management, no balance between work and personal life. Very much a sweatshop with no future. Not a good job to work at. The management was not good with the employees. The employees were very aggressive. The company does not care about their employees. They send you home at whatever time they want to, even if you have only 2 hours of your shift done, or if they need you to stay, you gotta stay. Working there helped me multitask and work in a fast-paced environment. Thanks to this job, I decided to go back to school and do something better with my life. Ouch. Not a good company. They don't give us enough breaks. There's no room. There's not enough work. They don't offer any benefits. They don't appreciate what you do. The boss does not know how to manage people. I honestly don't like this work. It's a lot of pressure and doing eyeliners, pencils, and only pays the minimum and no raises at all. And the girls just love to make drama. I wouldn't work there if it was up to me, but people have necessities and it's only temporary, like around a month and a half, working around 15 hours a day. Can you imagine that? 15 hours a day, every day. And they're paying you minimum wage. You have to stand all day. You only get a couple breaks during that time. You're not in there's no air conditioning. So you're in a hot factory all day long, and you can't talk to your coworkers because managers get mad. No PTO. Oh my God. You can't take off Saturdays and Sundays. You come in, clock in, you literally have to wait for a supervisor to place you somewhere. You make makeup depending on where you put it. On that day, you're making barrels. Another day, you could actually be putting the makeup and putting them together in the machine. Like it's early morning, long hours, following mixing products for makeup was only provided with lab coat, hairnet, and safety glasses. No benefits. The turnover rate was high. And I love that I could see how much makeup was made from start and finish, but the downfall is that the makeup particles made me cough and sick. So not having the right like safety gear so that they don't get sick from inhaling particles, that's not okay. And this is happening in where? LA. Sweatshop. Unclean. No room to advance. Minimum wage. It's a terrible place to, I would never do this again. I mean, and this is like one of many, many, many. I mean, if you go on to Indeed, there are hundreds of comments like this. So you need to think about that. When you are buying the extremely overpriced lip kits or the makeup or her eyeliner or her palettes or her stupid skin line, just remember that the people that made that makeup were paid minimum wage. They stood on their feet for 15 hours a day. They were not given breaks. They got no PTO. They received no benefits. They didn't have safety gear to make it. Many of them got sick. They were super hot all day and their managers are jerks. Does that sound like a company that you want to buy from? Because it doesn't sound like a company that I would. And this is also the lab that Jeffree Star is rumored to get his products made from as well. So yeah, so this is Kylie's stuff, all right? Now, there's also been some issues with Claire's. Dude, they found asbestos in their products, in their eyeshadows in February. But I brought this up to Jessie Bear earlier today and I said, gosh, did you know that they found asbestos in Claire's makeup? And she goes, oh yeah, I already knew about that. And I said, no, literally it just was posted like 3 days ago. So they already had asbestos found in their children's line of eyeshadows, and they just found more asbestos in their Contour Effects palettes and JoJo Siwa makeup set. Which, by the way, I don't care like what you're doing with your kids, but like, why does your child need a Contour Effects palette? That's weird. I mean, children should be children. Like, makeup is fun, but like, I feel like some of these companies are taking things to a whole another level. Like, and then they find asbestos in it. Gross. And if you go to the FDA website, there is a lot of information about what is it that you can do. We'll get there in a minute, and we'll do that at the very end. But I also want to talk to you about where was it? Here. Cruelty-free. Not tested on animals. Everything's natural. This whole trend of cruelty-free, and everyone's so focused on not harming animals. Yet, as consumers and as people in this like a massive supply chain and demand for more and more and more and fast fashion and having to have 37 seasons and needing to buy only $6 shirts, I mean, all of that comes at a human price. And if you don't believe me, most of our clothing today is actually manufactured in Bangladesh, which has some of the most horrible rates, or some of the most horrible sweatshops, has had multiple like clothing manufacturer companies like collapse, where thousands of people have died because people are like working in such deplorable manufacturing systems. They're paid less than like $2 a day for all of this, and it's sweatshops. They don't get breaks. They don't get enough water. They don't get bathroom breaks. And anytime you start talking about any sort of sweatshops, whether it be in Bangladesh or China, you also are thinking about people that are in the indentured servant or human trafficking, and people are taken from small villages and forced to work in these facilities against their will. and they're bought and sold. Parents sell their children and they work in these factories. They sell their children into these worlds. They sell their children in China. They sell their children in Bangladesh. This child labor issue and human trafficking is a huge problem with makeup and with clothing. And if you want to be an ethical consumer, you need to know about this kind of stuff. It's hard to get away from, but you can learn about which brands are the worst offenders and which brands do a better job of it. Typically, buying products that are made in the United States are almost always the best because of labor laws. However, as you've seen from even the Spats laboratory and even from what we're seeing from Amazon as well, is that not all employers are very good employers. But the thing is that we have regulations on our side. And so when these things do happen, you guys, we can't just talk about this on social media. You need to file complaints. You need to make complaints with like the legal governing agencies that are in charge of your cosmetics, your clothing, your employer. Because every employer you can file complaints with the Attorney General, you can file complaints with the Secretary of State, you can file complaints with anyone who regulates anything that they make. And then there's you have labor laws that they have to comply with, and those can be made to the government. So you can't just bitch and complain about this stuff online. Things don't change if the government doesn't know that it's wrong. So you have to make those complaints known and you have to fill out the forms. All right. So cruelty-free is a misnomer. We get stuck on the animals thing and we forget about the human life that's attached to this. Now, one of the biggest culprits in the world of cosmetics is mica. And this is what makes eyes glitter. So if you see I've got a little shimmer on my eyes, that's mica. Now, mica, shimmering and glitter that was in makeup used to come from synthetic sources, which didn't have any issues, didn't cause any eye problems, was tested and worked fine. But this massive push for naturally sourced products, because mica had all but they stopped mining mica for almost good in the 1980s. But this obsessive need to have natural sources has opened up really shoddy mica caves in mines in India. And about 60% of all the mica that is used in eyeshadows or on glitter presses or on your lips comes from mica because of this consumer demand for natural, right? Well, the problem is that these mines are in such bad condition. They had less than like 20% of the mines still remaining open, and they're in such poor condition. And the mines are run by really greedy, shady owners who pay next to nothing for these people. And you know what's happening is children are going into these mines, and they estimate that every single month, 5 children die mining mica for cosmetics. That's not okay. 5 children die every month to mine mica because we have to have natural products. Now, there's a company called Lush, and they're a vegan company, and they decided that their answer to this problem was they were going to go back and use the synthetic version that makes the glitter that works just as well. But now that we have a problem, you guys, now we have given this poverty-filled community, and these mines exist in very rural and poverty-stricken areas of India where people have 0 job opportunities. And now that the mines are open again because we need our damn mica, we can't just close them, because if we close them, they lose all of their jobs. So our need to have mica created this mess, and companies can't just pull out now because people's livelihoods, children's livelihoods, families' livelihoods are depending on these jobs. And so now it's up to companies like Estee Lauder and L'Oreal and other massively large like BMW even uses mica on those like car companies like BMW and Audi. Like if you see the shimmer that sort of shows up on like a car in their paint, that is mica. And so we're importing so much mica. In fact, I think it said 60% comes from India. 25% is supposedly coming from one specific region of India. So imagine that. That's a lot of hit that would go into one area, and there's no other job prospects for these people. And so if you take that away from them, you have nothing, and you put them into further poverty. So the problem is what do we do as consumers to hold our brands like L'Oreal and Estee Lauder and every other company that's using this mica accountable to make sure that the mica no longer uses children? Well, they've started a task force, and they promise now that they're working in these task force to ensure that children are not involved in the mica mining, but it's a lie because the supply chain sources lie. They lie to the companies and tell them that no children were involved. Actually, Refinery 29, which does a lot of really cool investigative stuff on mica, on different articles, did a really interesting like investigation where they actually went to India. They followed the supply chain. It's a super neat article if you ever want to learn more about this. They were following the deaths of 7 children after a mine collapsed in mica, and just this massive problem now that we have of we can't get rid of mica because of the dependence now on these communities. And then even though companies are saying they're doing it ethically, there's so many lies within the supply chain, and India is literally doing nothing about it. Mica is also found in Russia and China, and all of them use child labor too. So that's the thing, you guys. Anytime we're using mica, you're going to have child labor, period. And if we care about children and if we care about our products, we need to be holding these companies accountable. And if they can't find a way to do it, as hard as it would be to pull out of these companies, I'm really reluctant to believe that 5 children die in a month versus not having the mines open altogether. I think 5 children not dying a month would be better, personally. So I agreed with Lush for finding a synthetic product. You know, other people that are on the humanitarian side don't agree with that. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I would prefer mica just not even be involved in all of this. But I know that that's not logical. So it's a mess. And mica is just one of the many problems we're seeing. If you're in China, they also use mica. And if you get products from China, they not only are they testing on, they're using mica and they use child labor, they also test on animals. They also have children working in the factories. So that cheap product that you got at the drugstore, like, I think this, let me check this out. Oh, this was actually made in the United States. So a lot of these are actually made in the US. Let me see here. Made in Italy. Well, anyway, I was at, there's a brand that's like kind of luxury. It's called NYX. They sell it at Target. I was sort of digging around while I was out shopping today because I wanted to get an idea of like what brands are in China. NYX, which is sort of sold as a high end, they are all made in China. Morphe is made in China. So using China as your manufacturer for makeup is not a good idea. Not only do you have issues with the quality of the products because they're not made as well, you're also dealing with sweatshops and child labor. So knowing where the products come from is really important if you care about people. And this is my problem as a consumer, is I have such a bleeding heart that I want to know where my clothes come from. I want to know where my products come from. I'm not like a super hippy dippy when it comes to natural. I really don't care. Give me all the synthetics. Give me all the chemicals. That does not matter to me. What matters to me more than any of that is that we're not hurting people by getting what we have and what we need. And I think as consumers in the United States, it's very easy for us to turn a blind eye to all of this, all of it. So I didn't want to like upset you or make you like depressed, but I really wanted to sort of give you, we've done a lot of tea over the last few days. We've done a lot of gossip. We've talked a lot about personalities, but we haven't talked a lot about the human expense in all of this. And sure, they're bullying people on Facebook. They're trying to destroy people's careers. They're trying to cancel people. But not only are they doing that, they're also selling you products that are using children, mining, that are killing children in mines, but to get the glitter in your eyeshadow. They are sourcing products from China that uses child labor. So, and then they're not using preservatives because your obsessive need as a consumer to have things natural. Listen, preservatives are not a bad thing. Chemicals are not a bad thing. And I encourage you to really understand from a scientific perspective why these things are needed and to stop listening to Karen or Becky or Susan on Facebook when they talk to you about the chemicals. Because Sarah and Becky and Karen, they don't know really anything about chemicals. Scientists have done a long work of like testing and making sure things are safe and making sure things don't like harm our skin and making sure things like are not going to be toxic. And just because something's a chemical doesn't mean it's toxic. There's lots of natural things that are extremely toxic, like asbestos, like arsenic, like essential oils, but they're natural. Sure, Karen. Go talk to the manager. All right. So now we need to talk about really what does this mean for you? You need, as a consumer, to start thinking about what it is that matters. Are you okay with child labor? Does it matter that the products have mica? Listen, mica is going to be really hard to not find in makeup. So as much as we hate it, we should still be holding these companies accountable for finding better, for putting a better accountability system in India to ensure that children are not part of these mining, to ensure that the mines that they're using are paying a living wage, do not allow child labor, and to make sure that these companies aren't just trusting the supply chain, but they're actually going to the mines where they're getting these products from so they actually know what's going on and not trusting somebody telling them that everything's okay. We need accountability, we need transparency. And you might want natural things, but in my mind, I want to know things. I want more transparency than I do want natural, Karen, okay? And I want to blame Karen for the mica problem. It's all your fucking fault, Karen. And on my channel, we mock Karen a lot. Karen is the natural mom that thinks she's better than you, and Karen only uses natural, organic, vegan, everything, okay? And if you are a natural, organic, vegan person, I don't hate you. We just make fun of you sometimes. All right. What can you do when it comes to makeup, you guys? Well, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. You can talk to okay, so here's the deal. There's a number of different steps you can take. First, if you get a product and the company is pushing back on you and not allowing you to return it, file a fraud. File a fraud case with your credit card company because most of these purchases are being made online. If you used a credit card, you can file a complaint or a claim for fraud with your credit card. And if they don't deliver the product as, promised, you can get your money back. And the credit card company will charge back the company. So the company might not want to give you the money back. Just go through your bank, go through your credit card. Hit these people where it counts in the money because they want to put this all on you. But if you take the steps to like protect your assets and protect your safety and hurt them economically, it's going to force them to make better choices. Second, you need to start talking to the FDA because the FDA cares about this kind of shit. They don't want mold or microbiological issues going on in cosmetics, okay? There's massive safety issues, and they do care about this industry. Even though they don't regulate makeup products, they do care about the safety, and they do care about people getting harmed or hurt, or products having mold, or things that can make you sick. So there are laws, and it says, under the law, cosmetic products and ingredients, except for color additives, do not need FDA approval before they go to the market. However, they must not be adulterated or misbranded. That means they must be safe for consumers when used according to directions on the label or in customary or expected way. They must be properly labeled. It means they must not be prepared, packaged, or stored in a way in which it may be contaminated or harmful to your health, like mold. Companies and individuals who manufacture or distribute cosmetics are legally responsible for the safety of their products. This includes, for example, making sure cosmetics are free of harmful microorganisms. So as much as Jeffree Star wants to bitch and complain and say that you're lying, it's your problem, it's this or that, did you see that? He is legally responsible to ensure that his products are safe and do not cause harm to consumers, okay? And it says, while the law does not require cosmetics to have FDA approval before they go on the market, we do monitor the safety of cosmetics, including the microbiological safety, and FDA can take action against cosmetics on the market that don't comply with the law. So remember, cosmetic firms are legally responsible for making sure their products are safe. Some of the ways cosmetics can be contaminated with bacteria or funguses are by raw materials and water, by poor manufacturing conditions, by ingredients that encourage growth of microorganisms without effective preservatives, packaging that doesn't protect a product adequately, poor shipping or storage conditions, and consumer use, such as the need to dip fingers into the products. So that's the thing, you guys. A lot of these makeup beauty influencers, they want you to stick your fingers in your palettes. Please don't do that. If you stick your finger in this, you can spread bacteria into that. Just because they get a better smear doesn't mean that it's good. You should be using a brush, and you should be cleaning your brushes after you're applying it to your face. Otherwise, you risk bacteria spreading to your eyes, and nobody wants a bacteria infection in their eyes, okay? So the FDA, we must base actions on reliable information, and this is where it matters for you guys. If they don't know that these things are going on, they can't do anything to prevent these companies from taking advantage of you, from treating you poorly, from exposing you to unsafe things like mold. And you guys, mold is not safe. Mold can lead to lots of really bad respiratory things, including death. You do not want mold in your products. If you inhale mold, you can get mold in your lungs. You can get spores in your lungs. That's not okay. All right? So we need to be taking steps as consumers to hold them accountable by making sure, if they have products that contain waters, that they have preservatives. Making sure that they use and they store their cosmetics in safe environments. And you know what, you guys? The cosmetics that are going to have the most issues are going to be the ones that are going to be like preservative-free, natural, cruelty-free. Like, lose all of that, you guys. Like, I don't want you to be a total dick and just like kill all the animals, but still, like, think about it. There's a reason why for so many years we had stability in makeup, and now out of nowhere, now we're having all these problems with makeup. So what you can do to protect yourself is don't add water or saliva to cosmetics such as mascara. You might be adding bacteria or other microorganisms. You'll also be watering down a preservative that's intended to keep bacteria from growing. Store your cosmetics carefully, and if they get too warm, some microorganisms may grow faster and preservatives may break down. Meaning, if it's a really hot day out and you've got makeup in your car, in your purse, make sure that you don't leave that stuff in your car. Your makeup could melt, and if it doesn't melt, it could develop mold. Keep all of your containers clean, wash your hands before applying the cosmetics, and pay attention to recalls and safety. Mold is a big issue. Now, if that's not enough, the only way that they can know about these mold issues and do something about it and force recalls and force companies to remove these products from the market, which, by the way, I have not once. I looked up Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I've looked up stuff for Jaclyn Hill, for Emily Noel. No one's reporting this. If you're not reporting this, the FDA can't do anything about it, okay? So you need to fill out a form through MedWatch, which is a link directly on the FDA website in the description below. If you've recently purchased products from Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics and it contained organisms in it, it had those granules in it, it was broken, it was moldy, you need to report that to the FDA, because seriously, these lipsticks, from a health perspective, they just shouldn't even be on the market right now. She needs to get them out of the market. They could harm people and they could make people sick. So make sure that you file a complaint. You can either call them directly and speak to someone, or you can do the electronic form online. All right. All right, you guys. Oh, and that's another thing, is there's expiration dates on makeup, but the FDA doesn't actually keep track of expiration dates, and whether or not expiration dates matter or what they don't matter. Many people use their products longer than what they say that they're going to be good for. So nobody's actually there's not an agency that's determining why something would work and for how long it would work. So yeah. Exactly, Michelle. Please get off Twitter, get off Instagram, and contact the FDA and let them know what's going on. And then tell the influencers that you're reporting them to the FDA, and then also tell them that you are going to fill out a claim for fraud with your credit card company because they are making it impossible for you to return the products. If you are going to purchase a product that has a no returns policy, red flag number 1, do not purchase makeup that you cannot return, period. If a company cannot stand by their products and allow returns, that should be an indication to you that this is shit. And a lot of these companies don't offer returns, including Tati's vitamins. You guys, Tati's vitamins are no returns. Sales are final, no matter what happens. So don't buy products that don't have return policies. Don't buy products that, oh God, make sure that these companies are using preservatives. Make sure, even if it's cruelty-free and you have to have your vegan stuff, make sure it's sourced from places that aren't including children that are dying. There are so many things that are so much more important than animals getting tested on. I'm pretty sure if we were going to do a hierarchy of what matters most in the world, I'm pretty sure children dying supersedes a little bit of something on an eye of a mouse. It's time for us to get our priorities straight again and stop being so trendy about having everything being preservative free and cruelty free and vegan. I really can't wait for this stupid trend to be over. And again, I don't care if you're vegan, because I know that there's a lot of people that are vegan that are fine and they're great, but this hysteria has taken over and it's causing so many issues, and it's leading to so many mistruths and misinformation, and it's exposing you to mold. And you should care about that, and to children dying in mines, and to using the Ghana and the Ivory Coast in Africa to source coca for the brown color of the, the brown pigments. So like this, which is called cypress, is sourced, some companies are sourcing that instead of using like a synthetic brown, they're sourcing that from coca from the Ivory Coast, which uses child labor, and it also uses forced labor, which means people are harvesting your coca and they're doing it through human trafficking. That's not okay. I am a huge advocate for knowledge, and I'm a huge advocate for making sure that you are armed with everything that you need to be the best consumer that you can be. Are we ever going to be able to do everything right? Are we going to be able to get away from child labor in our products in the United States? Unfortunately, no. But you need to be reporting things. You need to be filing, you need to talk to your legislators and lawmakers and ensure that companies are held responsible. We need to stop buying products that are not made in the United States. I know I sound like Trump because I really he's all like, go USA. And like, that's not even me. I really don't like him. But the United States has laws about all this kind of stuff. And kids can't work here. So we got to do better. We got to know better. We got to do better. And if you're dealing with Jaclyn Hill makeup, please, for the love of God, get off Twitter, get off Instagram, and please file a complaint with the FDA and demand a recall. Seriously. Nobody should have that makeup. And then somebody earlier today, there's this blog called Temp something or other that's a makeup blog. And they were like saying that like fibers aren't a big deal and this and that. Don't get your information about the safety of cosmetics from the bloggers. Please don't trust me for the safety. Go to the FDA. I'm just telling you, go to the FDA. I'm not telling you that it's okay. I'm not going to minimize what it is. I'm saying go to the FDA. And anyone that tells you otherwise, be like, you're not the FDA, you're not the FDA, you're not the FDA. Okay? All right, you guys. This was a fun one. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Tomorrow, we have some massive updates. So, one of the other things that I do on my channel is I cover stories of people that make really, really, really crappy choices and parents that hurt their children. There's a little boy in Florida right now that is in the middle of a massive custody battle between the state and his parents. He has leukemia. His parents did not want to give him chemotherapy, and they fled the state, and they went to Kentucky, and they defied a court order, and the state, because they didn't want to have their child go through chemotherapy, he has an extremely aggressive form of cancer that if he doesn't get the chemo, he will die, and his parents wanted to give him bleach, MMS, they wanted to give him cannabis, and they wanted to give him apricot seeds to cure his cancer. I have a massive update because somebody from the family, they're going to speak out anonymously. But the couple that is they want to interview with everyone, they want to call it medical kidnapping, they don't have support from their family, you guys. They're alone, and their family wants you to know how they're defrauding everyone and lying to people. And we're going to talk about all of that tomorrow night. All right, you guys, tomorrow's going to be a doozy. Buckle up, but we're going to try to keep Noah safe, right? Team Noah. All right, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful night. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for sticking with me without the tea, I guess. And as always, make sure you subscribe, and if you want to become a patron or give me a tip or whatever, please think about it. Otherwise, just share these videos, like them, leave me some comments, let me know how I'm doing, and follow me on Twitter. All right, you guys, have a wonderful night. Bye.